Last week, the U.S. Justice Department filed a major antitrust lawsuit seeking the breakup of Ticketmaster owner Live Nation.
Earlier today, the Department of Justice, joined by 29 states and the District of Columbia, sued Live Nation Entertainment and its wholly owned subsidiary Ticketmaster for violating the Sherman Antitrust Act. In recent years, Live Nation Ticketmaster's exorbitant fees and technological failures have been criticized by fans and artists alike. But we are not here today because Live Nation Ticketmaster's conduct is inconvenient or frustrating. We are here because, as we allege, that conduct is anti-competitive and illegal.
Joining us now to discuss the case and the economics of concerts is Brendan Caldwell, director at Caldwell Securities Ltd. Brendan, thank you for joining us today.
Theresa, great to be here. In the interest of full disclosure, I was a longtime neighbor of Michael Cole, the fellow who built Live Nation, is now their former chairman. I don't know if he's directly connected to the entity, but just so you're aware.
Now, the Department of Justice is suing Live Nation. We've heard the term too big to fail. Does it apply here as well?
Well, it's a funny thing. The antitrust idea in America, it's a particularly American idea. Big companies in other nations, dominant companies in other nations, those nations don't seem to really have a problem with, as long as they toe the government line. But in the US, they originally broke up the railroads as being anti-competitive, and the oil companies. That's in the 19th, early 20th century. Flash forward to the early 21st century, the most important thing, the key thing the Department of Justice has to get its around is ticket sales, because the Swifties aren't able to get their tickets in a quick and convenient way. So it'll be interesting to see, but I think it'll be a harbinger in a bigger sense when technology is being a bigger and bigger part of our lives to do everything. And there are some pretty big players in the technology space, way bigger than Live Nation and Ticketmaster, that dominate the technology sphere. It'll be interesting to see how this goes as a precursor to what might happen with bigger names. Google, call your office.
Now, concert and concert goers can change the trajectory of a city. Let's talk about hotel prices in Toronto when Taylor Swift comes to town. What's happening with hotel prices in Toronto?
Well, Toronto is expensive, in case you those that don't live in Toronto don't know that. Indeed, much of the GTA, the Golden Horseshoe, all of Southern Ontario is becoming very expensive for anything. Hotel prices are up considerably from where they were certainly during the pandemic, but certainly pre-pandemic. But yes, when Taylor Swift comes to town, I've seen articles that suggest that hotel rooms that were themselves $500, which does seem like a lot for a hotel room, were $1,000, $1,500. Now, if you're buying black market, legit Taylor Swift tickets, you're paying multiples of that just to go to the concert. So what's another $1,000 to stay in a hotel afterwards?
And what can this mean for the GDP of Toronto?
Well, it's probably better for the GDP of Toronto than the World Cup of Soccer will be, because, you know, the venue is already there. She's playing 6 nights, which I'm pretty sure is more nights than the soccer's being played in Toronto. With apologies to my soccer fan producer Troy here. And so I think it'll be a bigger deal than that. I mean, when she comes to town, when Taylor Swift comes to town, the Swifties come from not all over the area, but all over the world. I know people that are actually, because they can't get North American tickets for her tour or Toronto tickets for her tour, actually going to Europe to go see her in Edinburgh or some such place, because it's cheaper to fly to Europe than it is to get Swiftie tickets in the GTA.
What about traffic? Those in Toronto often complain about major events jamming up the city streets. Do you see that with major concerts as well?
Well, Theresa, it's kind of like the weather. I mean, why does everybody talk about it and nobody does anything about it? Yeah, so Toronto traffic, how to fix. When you say big events, do you mean like an average Monday? Because Toronto is immovable at the best of times. I think if one is going to go to a major event in Toronto, I think you just got to cram into the GO train or the public transit, because Parking downtown, if you're not used to it, is not great. Parking downtown during a major concert is a nightmare, even for those of us that navigate the mean streets of Toronto on a daily basis.
Brendan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Theresa.